Hi Tarot Tribe, it's Anthony, and I'm here today to talk to you about how I believe that tarot readings work in a remote sense via the web, and also how I go about selecting my tarot and oracle decks for my clients and for my own work. So this is a pretty big subject and something that a lot of people have asked me to talk about, so I hope you find some things in here to be very useful for your practice. And like everything, this is just my experience, and if there's something here that you can take and adapt it to your practice, then that is amazing, and leave everything else, or just know that we all work in a different way. So I have been conducting tarot readings via the interwebs, for a long time now. And I actually can't believe it's taken me this long to talk about how I believe my readings work and what my technique is. I've talked about what to do after a reading and quite a few tutorials about what to do when things, you get stuck and etc. and clients, difficult clients, but this is more on the front end. So there are 4 options that I have if you want to ever engage in a tarot and oracle reading with myself. So if you're here in Vancouver or you catch me while I'm traveling, which I plan to do a lot more of in the future, you can get a tarot reading with me face to face. But most of my clients, most of you wonderful, lovely people that I have connected with over the years, do have readings with me via Skype, email, and video recordings. And I have to admit, the video readings have become my total favourite of late. I love the fact that I can just channel and go and talk, and things just keep happening, and I can just keep going with the reading as long as that message is coming through. Typing, for me, I edit myself because of my Virgo rising. So the Gemini keeps talking, the Virgo rising is like, you just spelled the word wrong, so it kind of interrupts the flow. Not to say that I can't get back, but it's a little less fluid, and I've tried those dictaphone programs, but none of them can quite understand my Australian accent, so shit out of luck. It is so hot here right now. Well, it's muggy. I shouldn't complain. I'll be wanting this in winter. Back on topic. So how do remote readings work over the internet? As I mentioned before, this is my perspective. I fully recognize that we all work in our own way, and we all have our own beliefs around how we believe the tarot works. That was amazing grammar. I have talked about how I believe the tarot works in a blog post and video, and the link is below and over at ethne.com, where you can find the transcript of this video as well. So let's start with getting prepared in my personal practice. So I set my reading altar. That's the first thing I do. So I will light my spirit candle. Usually it's just a white tea light in a nice holder. I just got an amazing amethyst one that I've been using quite a lot. And I pull any crystals that would like to work with me for the day, or that I've been working with quite a lot. So some new ones. So I work a lot with amethyst. Purple's my favorite color, and I just adore it, and this is such a stunning specimen. I also work a lot with clear quartz, and I love any raw specimens of clear quartz. And I love smoky quartz. So they all have different properties. I love smoky quartz for cleansing any messages or vibes that aren't aligned to a higher purpose for a reading. So I want to make sure that my clients are that I'm in a good space, and that my clients are getting what they need, and I'm not getting into any interference. It's a very cleansing and protecting stone. I use the clear quartz as an amplifier for energy to help me connect with my guides, and help me connect with my clients, and also to just amplify and raise the vibration of the reading in my workspace. And I use amethyst as a nice calming, meditative tool. It helps me get into the zone. It activates my highest chakras and my clairs. So I work with those pretty much every single time. And then I have a tray of crystals that I'll bring out different ones as well. So once I have that set out, and sometimes I bring out statues or some of my gods and goddesses as well, depending on what really feels right, and if I'm working with a certain energy at the time. I will then cleanse the space. So this can be done with, I've talked about cleansing before, but smoke or sprays, bells, no matter, whatever works for you. So I cleanse my space. And then I connect with my guides and give my decks a good shuffle warm up. So I like to just sort of get into the zone, and really shuffling the cards sets me into this really nice meditative state. I really feel like it's a beautiful, relaxing, I love the feel of it and the sound of it. So I like to give them a good warm up shuffle. So I work a lot with custom tarot spreads. They are totally my thing. If you've been following me for a while now, you know I love creating tarot spreads. And I do have a stock of tarot spreads that I use on a number of occasions, and especially for myself with my readings over many years. And they are very good go-to spreads, and they're very good general spreads. But I feel that having the ability to create something that gives the attention that is needed to the situation and for my client is so much more personal and gives better results. So if you're able to really address the needs and what the outcome of that reading is going to be in a custom spread, you're going to hit the nail on the head much quicker if you're doing it that way than more of a general reading. That's just me though. Remember, everything I'm saying, there's nothing that's gospel. Some of my positions in a layout will have firm structures, such as like this is for future, this is situation, this is the next 3 months, for example. And then I would look at the cards individually and then look at the cards as an overall situation, how they work together. Are there any overall themes? Is there anything missing? Is there anything that's really pulling my attention? But sometimes I'm led to create more of a narrative where each card pulls and that I pull builds on one another to create the complete picture. So there's no one way of doing this, and that's one of the grand things that I love about the tarot, is you can really do whatever you feel drawn to do, and it changes situationally for me as well. I also use oracle cards from decks that I'm drawn to, and that helps complement the reading I'm working on. Now, I have also posted about using oracle decks in your tarot readings. I use them within, so I could put an oracle card in the tarot layout, or I also love to finish up my readings with an oracle pull. And then the last sort of thing I want to talk about with my personal practice is that online remote tarot readings for me are treated like any other reading. I will talk and write to my clients as if they were across the table from me, sitting with me. And I find that even when I'm reading for someone in person, I don't always look at them anyway. I mean, I don't want to creepy stare at someone and be like, this is happening. But so when I'm talking, I tend to sort of focus in on the cards because I'm getting information. And when I'm getting information or I'm seeing something happening in the movie screen of my mind, if I look up or if I break that connection, it can be harder for me to keep it going. So if you ever get a reading from me face to face and I don't look at you, it's not that you're not fabulous. It's just that I'm processing information and I'm talking with my guides and I'm getting information from my clairs. So that's a little bit about my personal practice. So what do I get from my clients? So say you book a reading with me. This is what I will gather from you. And they all have their place and it all has their importance. So I use my client's name and date of birth as a way to connect with them. I have permission to connect with them in my sacred space for their reading when they've booked with me. And I wouldn't do this unless I had permission to do so. So when you book a reading or you go for a reading or you go for a healing or whatever sort of energetic work that you're engaging in, you have entered into a contract where you can connect with that person, and it's not something that I take lightly, but I use the name and the date of birth to help me connect with that person's energy, because they are some of our signatures energetically. Words have meanings and our date of birth has meaning, so I use those. I also get questions, or a question depending on what kind of reading you have. And that helps me focus my tarot reading and allows me to direct the energy into the area of my client's life that needs the spotlight lit on it, needs some illumination, or they want options. We have very complex big, full lives. I do I do read for general readings, or for, you know, let's have a look at the next 6 months sort of thing. But I have found over the 18 years I've been reading the tarot, that the more specific you can be and the more context you can give, the better the outcome. I also ask for additional information around the question to give context, their perspective and energy for the reading. Now, this I feel is extremely important. You can tell a lot by where a person, this comes from my mentoring and my counseling background, the HR person in me. You can tell where a person is at very much in a situation or in a relationship or anything really, if you get them to talk to you a little bit. You need to listen. As much as a reading you're getting me to talk to you or me to give you messages, it's important to listen to. So I like to get that so that I can understand where that person's coming from, and I can sort of start tapping into their perspective and get their energy read on it as well. As I mentioned before, you ask a vague question, you're going to get a vague answer. And I've said it many times before, you don't just invite a plumber around to your house. Sorry about that, I got a El Frogo in my throat. You don't invite, book someone to come out and look at your plumbing and just go, well, you figure it out. I'm not even going to tell you what's wrong unless there's water spraying it everywhere. You need to, for me, it's a connection between me and my clients. It's sacred space. I'm a witchy woman too. I'm a witch. I work on an energetic level with people on more than one thing. Yes, I'm a fortune teller. I guess you could call me that. I'm a diviner. But for me, it's much deeper as well. Now, the other reason I ask for this information is it helps me get messages from my guides, my spirit guides. I often start getting information from my clients as I'm reading their information in situations. So the movie screen where I get information visually starts to focus in. So it's kind of like goes in and in and in and focuses into this person. And then I start getting, often I'll be sitting there, and before I've even touched the tarot, I've already written 3 or 4 paragraphs or I already know what I'm going to talk about, because it's just like my guides are just going this, and then I get cards and it always confirms what they've been saying. So that's the information that I get from my clients. And depending on what kind of reading, you would get a video file, or you would get your PDF, and you would always get photos of your spreads. So those are, and Skype, you will get photos as well. So that's what my personal practice and what I get from my clients. So then, how do I select my tarot and oracle decks for my clients? I have so many. Just gonna take another drink. I haven't counted lately how many decks I have. It's a lot. But I love them all in their very special way. So I sit with my decks for each client in their specific situation. So when I'm getting ready, I'll read through who I've got in my schedule for the day, because there's usually like a 7 to 10 day waiting period to get a reading with me. And I'll check the themes, and I'll feel into what's feeling right, and I do seasonally rotate my working decks, but sometimes a real random deck calls from my shelf and won't shut up until I pick it up. So there's some very interesting kind of exchanges that happen. So there are tarot and oracle decks in my collection that are perfectly aligned with certain readings. I have decks that are very suited to love and relationship readings, and some that read for career coaching like a dream. There are others that want to work with certain clients, which is a very cool sort of thing. Because who says that decks don't have their own personalities? They totally do. It's an artistic representation of someone's energy. Of course it's going to have its own personality, its own vibration. And some decks I have a personal connection with and read with every single day. So because I work with more than one deck in my readings, and sometimes the same layout of cards, there's usually a mix of the above when I pick my decks for clients. So I kind of just go with the flow. So there you have it, a little bit of information of how I believe that tarot readings remotely work, and how I do my thing. I would love to hear about how you do your thing and how you believe the tarot works in a remote way. Do you read over the internet? Have I missed anything? How do you select your decks? I would love to hear. And as always, you can always jump over to ethany.com and see the other links and join up for Oracle Wednesday if you want. If not, that's cool too. And thank you so very much for watching.